Today we're joined by Tracey Cole. So Tracey is a certified master trainer of NLP and a trainer of timeline therapy and hypnosis, with a background as impressive as it is diverse. Tracey holds a Bachelor of Science and a PhD and began her career in biochemical research across the UK, Switzerland, and the USA. She later moved into education, teaching in schools and universities before discovering NLP as a powerful tool to overcome her own performance anxiety in competitive horse riding. That personal journey sparked a professional passion. Tracey now specializes in helping clients manage stress, anxiety, and health challenges, as well as unlocking peak performance, particularly in sport and equestrian disciplines. She's known for her fun, practical style training style and has coached and presented for national organizations like British Dressage and Endurance Great Britain. She also hosts the international podcast Over the Oxer and is the author of two best-selling rider mindset books. Tracey will be presenting at our upcoming Hypnosis Conference this September, and her topic is high functioning anxiety in sport and life. So we're excited to welcome you today, Tracey. Thank you for being here.
Thanks ever so much for inviting me to chat. It's really great fun to put a face as well to a name. Thank you.
No worries, great. So, what is high functioning anxiety and why does it go unnoticed?
Oh, high functioning anxiety. Everyone will recognize it. So it tends to be in people who are quite high achieving, really successful people, and they are the classic swan gliding along the water with the legs going at 10 to dozen underneath. So they appear outwardly to be very successful and organized, and they look like they've got life sorted. They look pretty enviable from the outside, but
Mm.
inside they worry constantly, they ruminate, they procrastinate, they put additional pressures on themselves to constantly be perfect. So there's perfectionism in there. Um, they suffer all kinds of tensions, muscle tensions, mental tensions, headaches, sleeplessness. They really are a bag of nerves and worry because they fear failure on every level so much. So, yeah, they are very recognizable, apart from they don't recognize it for themselves.
Okay, sure. But I guess when you say they're very recognizable, probably to yourself as a coach, like from the outside looking in for the regular person, I guess it's harder to distinguish from just a very successful, easily achieving person, because all of that
Yeah.
work, all of that stuff that you've said goes so unnoticed by most people, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are the person that you aspire to be. You look up to them, you think, oh wow, they're doing it. There's this ease and flow with what they do, and you're perfectly right. Yeah, most people would be shocked to find out that underneath they're just, turn into jelly most of the time.
Okay, great. So, what I want to know is how did your background in equestrian performance coaching shape your work in this space?
So I was very nervous when I
Mhm.
competed, to the point that I got the most enjoyment from getting off the horse. The moment my feet hit the ground again was the moment that I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I must come and do it again. But the whole build up and the time that I was in the ring was just a nightmare. And I never performed well because
Okay.
I was just so tensed up. And I knew once I'd done a little bit of NLP that this could help riders. This really was a key to helping riders. And I don't mean the elite riders, although it helps them as well, but
Mm,
also anybody, anybody who gets on a horse and is
mm,
fearful. And so I thought that would be the direction that I'd go in, because I know the equestrian world, I know how riders think, I know how
mm,
much they love riding and they love the horses, but there's just that missing link of being so highly anxious whilst
mhm.
they're doing the thing that they supposedly love.
Okay. Sure. And obviously they probably don't start out that way, right? Because they've developed this passion for riding and being around horses. So what do you think happens along the way?
So sometimes they might have an accident.
Mhm.
They might get a horse that's a bit too much for them.
Mhm.
So they're going up the levels and they start to get more and more athletic horses. They're a bit
Mhm.
more springy, a bit more wild, a bit need a little bit more to control, maybe need quicker reaction times.
Mhm.
Some riders, nothing's happened to them, but they've witnessed something or they've heard somebody else have an incident, and that then plays on their mind.
Mhm.
And this confidence can be quite fragile. So they build it up and then in a moment it's disappeared.
Mhm.
Other, particularly ladies, particularly mums, once they've had children, they kind of think, oh, I'm doing this thing that could mean that I get hurt, I could have an
Mhm.
injury, but I've got my kids to look after. And so they have this push and pull, shall I, shan't I? So when they get on the horse, they're immediately in that very defensive position, very tensed up and braced. So they find it difficult as well.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, there's so many factors that can happen along that journey to, exacerbate that anxiety, yeah, going forward and the fear, I guess.
Yeah.
So how, from an NLP and hypnosis perspective, what tools do you find most effective in terms of working with this high anxiety in terms of performance?
So, first of all, they've got to recognize it. And usually by the time they've got to me, they do recognize something isn't quite right, and other people don't live on this high alert. And
Mm.
then I think because their stress levels and their tension has become a habit,
Mm.
then just helping them to realize that they can relax. In the evening time, they don't have to ruminate about the day that's gone.
Mm.
They can relax. They don't have to make everything competitive. Because if they start out running or going to the gym for relaxation, then ends
Mm.
up in a competition for these people. They've got to get better and better and better. They've got to be the best. So hypnosis is great for that relaxation, and allowing themselves to relax, allowing their body to feel what it feels like and to get into a new habit of relaxation. And then either in combination with NLP or hypnosis alone, being able to anchor the useful states and
Mm.
maybe just the states that of can do and self-belief, but also reframing, because these people, they never really see success for what other people would say was success. They
Mm.
they're constantly on this uphill battle to be what they would consider good, and but it's constant strive. So if they could be in this more uh, better, helpful mindset where they can see, you know what, I've done it, I'm here, I've reached that point, and I can look back and I can see where I've come from and celebrate the victories a little bit. So a good reframe is great for them as well.
Mm.
Especially, and something like a swish pattern in the moment is great, because otherwise they will procrastinate, ruminate, all those things. They will
Mhm.
just mull it over and analyze it. So it's great for a multi-pronged attack on
Mm.
this high anxiety.
Sure. I imagine it's a delicate balancing coaching though, because these people are pushing themselves and setting goals, like naturally setting goals for themselves, which you want them to do in coaching. And in terms of their performance, they want to improve. So imagine that's a delicate balance between managing that everyday anxiety versus, still wanting to work towards goals.
Yeah, and I think they need to sometimes step back and have a
Mhm.
little think what their why is. Because very often their why comes from other people, comes from the environment.
Mhm.
And, when you actually analyze it, their why, if they were to be totally honest, is to lead quite a simple life, and to
Mhm.
enjoy life, to take life as it comes, to find things that they really like, and to go down that pathway instead of thinking, well, actually, there's a level above me, and then there's a level above that, and there's a level above that, and I need to never fail. I need to be perfect. And
Mm.
very often, when they reach their why, their true, deeper why, they start to realize that these are false things. These aren't themselves. These are things that either they've imposed on themselves because they think that's a measure
Mm.
of being a good person or a good worker, a good employee, or whatever it might be. Um, or they've been imposed maybe in childhood. This is what you need to do. You need to be the best. You need to get higher and higher and higher as fast as you
Mm.
can. So I think that's really important to them to find their why and be really truthful, because their why probably isn't, I want to get to the top and I want to even surpass that. Their why is probably highly simplified in comparison.
Mm. And do you think that that contributes, that why not being there, why contributes to the formation of the anxiety?
It certainly doesn't help, does it? And I think that, very often they're pushing themselves to do something that they don't actually really enjoy. They can do it, of course they
Mm.
can do it, but they may not enjoy it. And they've somehow mixed those two things up. That I need to do it because I can do it, or I need to prove that I can do it. Whereas actually, I hate it. I don't even enjoy it anymore.
Yeah. Okay. And so you and I both know about the value of timeline therapy, is particularly for the things that you even just talked about and touched on, these beliefs that we create in childhood about got to be the best and things like that. So how does timeline therapy help you in your coaching with these deep-rooted anxiety patterns?
So timeline therapy is just a marvel. It's just wonderful for these things because, these people are very analytical usually.
Mhm.
Then it's so nice for them to relax into something that doesn't require analysis on that level,
Mhm.
and because they're so dissociated during the process, it's so comfortable, it's so gentle, so powerful. I love timeline therapy for these people. And you might think that they wouldn't be able to relax because that's not their way of being, or that they would be questioning the process, well, why does this work and how does this work and is my learning good enough? But
Mm.
actually, once in the process, that I think they love it, and they're really surprised at the results as well.
Mm. Okay. And I have heard from some people that I've met with anxiety and clients, that they feel like their anxiety helps them to be better. I've got to push myself, got to push myself. And that's kind of the catch-22 in performance coaching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how do you help clients distinguish between, mental strength and pushing towards goals and actually anxiety as it's not helpful?
Yeah, and I suppose it's that short burst of, it's more kind of, I don't know, it's like pent up excitement, isn't it, really, rather than I'm nervous and I'm frozen. So it's a threshold level. I
Mm.
think that people need to maybe understand that there are different levels of what we would call anxiety or nerves or nervous
Mm.
energy. And you're right, that nervous energy can sometimes carry you through, particularly a sporting performance or other performance, if you've got to get up and do some public speaking, that
Mm.
that can sharpen you up at a low level. It's when you cross into that threshold where it becomes debilitating to you, that you're not functioning, you're not firing on all cylinders at all. And
Mm.
there is that explanation because, yeah, some people, particularly the sports people, say to me, "Don't take away all my nerves. Don't do that to me. I need some." And, it's that explanation. I'm not taking away any nerves. Actually, you're doing it all yourself. but that natural short-term quick boost is great. It's when it overlaps into and bleeds into other areas of life, or it's long past the performance that you're still feeling nervous because you're thinking about the next thing, then
Mm.
that's obviously not what we want.
Or going back over the performance and like
Yeah,
really analyzing it. Sorry, maybe more than we need to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, what has been one of your most inspiring client breakthroughs?
Oh gosh, do you know, trying to think now. Now you've put me on the spot.
I have, that's okay.
Yeah. Um, it's probably somebody that I know, um, quite a high level rider, rode for Great Britain as a young man,
Mhm.
then didn't get the horses, didn't have the owners that would take him to the very highest level as a senior. And so a lot of frustration there.
Mhm.
And he wasn't an easy person to be around. And he was running a big yard with lots of people bring their horses. So he had to communicate with people. He was riding other people's horses, but he was difficult. He was a very difficult character, very moody, very surly, r really not. People brought their horses because they realized his talent, not because of his personality, because his personality was very off-putting and
Mhm.
intimidating. And he asked me to work with him with timeline therapy. He'd heard about timeline therapy. And I was intimidated to work with him. I thought, oh, well, no, he's going to expect great things at this. Um, and do you know, that is probably the most inspiring session or set of sessions that we had because he turned around. He was a different persona on the yard. And people said to me, what have you done to him? Because it was so obvious, because he was such a difficult character and he opened up and his life completely changed, his outlook changed. Instead of always looking backward and thinking, I should have made it and I didn't. It was like, well, I've got this far, I've got this amount of talent, I can channel it in a slightly different direction and be really successful in this direction. And it just made him, like I say, a humorous person. He was always
Mhm.
cracking jokes and he was very different. And yeah, that probably is one of the most inspiring because it was a night and day change in that person.
Yeah. And it's truly transformational for that entire person's life and their personality, as you said,
Yeah,
far beyond what they came into coaching for, which I imagine was, put his performance looking to
yeah,
improve. So,
yeah.
yeah, wow, definitely. Okay, so we know that you're an NLP trainer. So, do you use any of these coaching techniques or NLP to translate into a team environment or group coaching?
I sometimes run workshops, yeah. So I do group coaching, tend to do that face to face because I like face to face, although I love Zoom and I use Zoom majoritively.
Mhm.
Um, I do love the workshops and I do group coaching as well. Um, and I do use NLP quite a lot. Sometimes I've done a group hypnosis, and it's
Mhm.
usually for performance or getting over nerves for the equestrians. And
Mhm.
people do love NLP now. I think in the UK it's really come into its own and people know what it is now. Whereas when I started, more than a decade ago, people were what MPL, NLP? They weren't quite sure what it was. So yeah, it's really nice that people are seeking it out now.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. That culture is changing and that people are really hearing it and knowing what it's about and curious. So that's
Mm.
great. So lastly, what lasting mindset shift do you hope that people walk away with from your talk, from your speaking event at the Hypnosis Conference?
So I hope that they maybe recognize in themselves if they have any level of high functioning anxiety. They
Mhm.
just do a quick check into their body and think, Actually, I've got no reason to be tense, but my shoulders are really up round my ears. And that even if they don't recognize all the symptoms, they think, oh, do you know what? Occasionally I do that. And that they can take away then how to relax and the importance of relaxation for the mind and the body, and the importance of checking in and making sure that we're not just doing it when somebody's talking about it, but we're doing it daily, maybe hourly even, just a quick check-in. Where is my body? Where is my mind? How can I relax just for even 2 minutes, just to have that pause in the day?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, I love that because you're almost giving a talk that's a two-pronged approach, right? To the board members who are, coaches and trainers themselves, it's like it's not only talking about how you do, this elite performance anxiety coaching with clients and things to look out for in their clients and students, but also to check in with their own wellness and to, because often you said that these people are often, they're very successful from the outside looking in, like everything is going along smooth sailing, So I love that that's that two-pronged approach that we get that wellness side of it as well. So thank you so much, Tracey, for making the time. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and I know that you have a lot more insight to share with us at the Hypnosis Conference, and we're really looking forward to seeing you there in September.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm really excited for it. Thank you.